Hello. So I want to tell you a little story about my back pain because it's totally relevant to you and your pelvic floor problems. So, really quick story. I suffer from time to time with back pain just on the left hand side, lower back pain. Now, I have noticed when it feels bad. So what causes it? So for me, it's if I lie flat on my back on the floor, or if I'm sitting down for too long, or if I'm not sort of moving around and moving my upper body, or if I've been lifting my son a lot without engaging the right muscles, so it gets a bit tight and sore. I also have figured out how to move my body to alleviate that pain. So when there are times when I just think, oh, it's really sore, it's really playing up, I have now figured out what to do to move it, to kind of get rid of it, to move it. So for me, it's kind of if I do some kind of hip movements to loosen that bit up, loosening up this area. But the actual details aren't what's important. And actually, the cause of it isn't necessarily important either. So I do have a pretty good idea of why it happens, and I do struggle with muscle engagement. So sometimes I really have to sort of have a big conversation with my brain and my body, my muscles, to go, right, engage these muscles, and then they all work. I have lots of cheating muscles that join in and cause pain, but that's not the bit that's relevant. What's relevant is that I know this because I've taken time to notice. I've firstly noticed when I've experienced that pain, what I've been doing that's caused it. So whether it's just an immediate, when you get that twinge and you think, what have I just been doing to cause that pain? Or if it's an ongoing ache that I think, by the end of a weekend, when I've spent the whole weekend lifting my son and throwing him around, Sunday night I'll feel achy. So I kind of know then that, okay, so that has been the trigger. That's the point where I've noticed. Then I can move on to my way of moving, to strengthen it, to engage other muscles, to do some movement that's going to nurture it. Now, this is relevant for you and your pelvic floor because you can really help yourself by noticing when your pelvic floor problems are troublesome. So I'd really encourage you to note down when they're playing up, because most people don't experience pelvic floor problems all of the time, like literally, leaking might be, if you're leaking, then it might be when you're doing a certain activity, or if you have like a prolapse sensation, or you've got prolapse, then it might be at the end of the day, or whatever. It's not necessarily that you're waking up and it's 24/7. So I would encourage you to note down when it's bad, and then think about what you're doing around that sort of bad, those times when it's bad. So were you sitting down a lot? Could you be constipated? Have you not been for a walk for ages? So kind of think about what you were doing with your body immediately around that time, but also running up to that time. And if you do that over a course of, say, a month, just note down, when it's bad. And also think about, so if you're menstruating as well, think about the cycle, because that does play a role in pelvic floor problems. It can make things worse at certain times, and it's going to be different for everybody. Note it down. Try and get a picture of what's going on in your body. Because once you've got that, you can then think, actually, I know now that if I sit down for 8 hours a day at work, my pelvic floor is a bit rubbish by the end of the day. So you can try and think of then strategies to do it. So you don't necessarily need a diagnosis. One is always useful, but if you don't want to go down that route, or you just want to do a bit of investigation yourself and trial and error and experiment with things, then try this. So notice what you're doing, what you're doing with your body, how you're moving your body. Also, other things to notice is what you're eating, drinking, whether you're sleeping well or not, because all of these things play a role in your pelvic floor health. So it's a muscle, and it isn't just about contracting it or releasing it. Everything that's happening in our body, we're all connected, will play a role in your pelvic floor health. And if you can figure out, if you notice when it's bad, you can then try and figure out what to do to stop it, to kind of reduce it. Great. So I hope that helps. I'm here if you need some extra guidance, but try it. Try writing it down. Let me know how you get on. If you've got any questions, then do obviously ask. I am here. You know where I am. Great. Have a fab day, and I'll see you soon.